Hi. Title. This should only take me about 3 minutes, but first we gotta get 3 disclaimers out of the way. 1. Dave the Diver is a good game. 2. Jeff Keighley is probably a decent man. And 3. Pizza Tower is a good pan. Pizza. Do you see where I'm going here? Dave the Diver is a fun sea exploration, restaurant manager, gambling sim, constantly expanding in an Aunt Marge kind of way game, and was also nominated for Best Indie Game by Jeff Keighley's Game Awards. And that is weird because this is not an indie game. To be clear, the developers Mint Rocket, who clearly poured genuine care and skillful craft into their project, are nevertheless a subsidiary of multi-billion-dollar corporation Nexon. Now, defining indie games is difficult, but I'd posit that Dave the Diver is called an indie game not just because of its looks. This detailed, beautiful pixel art obviously had a team working on it, or its scale, it starts small but only gets bigger, but because it's fun. And so often mainstream corporate-heavy games these days fall short in that department, though this year is a welcome outlier. But that begs the question, what is an indie game? Well, I could say that term is in flux and trying to pin it down is impossible, but screw that. An indie game is mostly free of corporate influence and pressure, and especially substantive corporate funding. Some of those words are carrying more weight than others. Oh no. But to be clear, indie games can have publishers. An indie game pairing with a well-off publisher doesn't make it a non-indie game by itself. Scale matters, and big independent developers have their own mix of advantages to play with. Devolver Digital are considered indie despite having multi-million-dollar publishing budgets. Larian is independent, but they're pretty huge, and Tencent owns 30%, so Baldur's Gate 3 shouldn't really be up for Best Indie. Cocoon is published by Annapurna, which gives it a hefty publishing budget, but Nexon isn't Annapurna in scale, it's closer to Ubisoft. Dave the Diver then has the resources at its disposal of something like Assassin's Creed Mirage, whereas Pizza Tower had hope, a dream, and a bunch of grease. And this isn't new, of course. Stray, being heavily marketed by Sony, won Best Indie and Best Debut Indie. But does all this hand-wringing on what is and is not an indie actually matter? Well, I'd argue, yeah, kinda. Dave the Diver shouldn't eat up a nomination for Best Indie when something like Pizza Tower is constrained to Best Indie Debut. I'm sure the folks behind Dave the Diver disagree, but they actually don't. To quote Taewon Kim, vice president of Nexon America, Dave the Diver may look like an indie, but it's not necessarily the case. And like, I get why it's been nominated. Jeff Keighley is clearly a fool and an evil person, and also a servant of the Dark Lord Morgoth. Or maybe the Game Awards is just using the word indie in a way that kinda makes sense based purely on looks and vibes. And being in the business of looks and vibes and marketing and hype, as all award shows are, that nebulous concept is enough for them. And given the amount of nebulously questionable decision making in the Grammys, Emmys, and the Oscars over the years, maybe the Game Awards is just following tradition. You and I can't take Dave the Diver out of the Best Indie Game nominations, but you can vote for more accurately described indie games, and voice criticism of the institution we are nevertheless partaking in. After all, if 2023 has shown us nothing else, it's that we can play and critique. And in that spirit, you can vote for Pizza Tower for Best Indie Debut, so go Gustavo, go Peppino, quickly, time is running out, vote for Pizza Tower. You know, I actually like Jeff Keighley and the silliness around the Game Awards, I just dislike the game they play. Thanks for watching. I'll see you on Friday.